E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live. Also on Amazon Fire TV and to Twitch. Also Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Friday Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, we are wrapping up our week on the Roaring 20s.
Yes, ma'am, we are. And we've had a lot of fun because it really, I guess the most fun thing was that some of the things that got invented out of the 1920s, Donna and I both said, wow, we didn't realize it was invented way back then. I mean, goodness, we thought it'd be like 50s. Like the garbage disposal comes to my mind right away, you know, and I mean, it's just amazing. But, you know, Donna, when we think about the 1920s, the real catalyst that fired everything up and got the wheels in motion, no pun intended, was the automobile.
Right.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, the things that's really spurring growth and really helping people connect is the internet. And the catalyst of that, I think, would be Zoom. And we don't have any affiliation with Zoom, but I mean, the ability for people to communicate, businesses, groups, whatever, online, face to face. That is really coming on strong. And the pandemic brought that, didn't it, Donna?
It did. It'd been there for a while, but the pandemic brought it to the forefront of a way to do business, a way to communicate, a way to have meetings, a way not to lose touch with your people in your business, and be able to move forward during a difficult time.
Exactly right. And that's exactly how this TV show got its roots.
Right.
And Donna and I, we were just, good friends back in those days. And we had a meeting, Bill Heinrich and Don McGrath and me and several of the executive training directors. And Bill Heinrich was the one that says, hey, wait a minute. This was in March of 2020. He says, we need to put on a Zoom show or whatever. I don't remember what he called it. So we need to put on a show so we could have messages of inspiration, hope, and support, because a lot of people are scared. And immediately everybody just bought into it. And Don says, I can do this. And Tamara says, I can do that. And, I forget who else went. And then Don says, hey, Jim, what? You can host it. Oh, okay, I can do that. And that's how it got born. We were on Zoom and Facebook Live. And then we got invited by Tamara Hunter to meet. I got invited to discuss with Mr. Aaron Hymas, president of E360 TV, about bringing the show to television.
Putting it on the road, so to speak.
Yep, getting it airborne. And one of the first people I called was Donna. And she says, what do you want? And I says, help.
I did not. I didn't say it like that.
I just told her what we were doing. And, oh, yes. And she'd love to be a part of it. And, but see, that's how you follow the energy. We didn't sit down and plan this out. And a lot of people around the world, I know there's people in India and Pakistan and places like that. You're struggling and you're thinking, how can we put all this together? Get out of your mind, get into your heart, follow the energy, because the energy from the senior in the sky, no offense, but it's a lot smarter than I'll ever be. Let me put it like that.
Right.
And because there's no way we could have dreamed up all the things that we've been blessed with and what's coming down the pike. Our working with Marty Haggard is a real privilege. And
And an
Donna,
honor.
we got a magazine coming out one of these days, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It's a special edition.
Yep, sure is. It's going to be a commemorative edition to our good friend, Mr. Marty Haggard. And
And his
Donna's going to
father,
be in
Merle
there.
Haggard.
Yeah. And I'm going to be in there. And we'll have it's going to be an interesting, it's a labor of love. Really is.
It is.
And
It is.
we're very excited about getting that put together. And, you know, Donna, today is March the 11th. And on this day, ladies and gentlemen, listen up. Today is the National Oatmeal Nut Waffle Day. It really is. So after the show, it's going to be late, but we'll all be invited over to Donna's house for supper time.
Well, that's funny because I was planning on making chicken asparagus lemon cream in pasta for dinner.
That's okay. We can take that home in a container.
Nice. Nice.
I
Well,
mean, we're
Jim,
not particular. Yes, ma'am.
right? Although it's Friday, I think it's important for us to recognize what's coming up Sunday.
Okay.
And Sunday is National Veterans Recognition Day for the Canines.
Mm.
Now, we've talked about this on previous shows, folks, about the canines. It actually goes back to Sergeant Stumpy.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the first canine in service. And since then, you know, we see it all over the news, on our internet feeds, whatever device you're on, about how canines are such an important part of our military services, not just for the U.S., but around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Around the world. And these amazing dogs can do so much. So, you know, Jim and I want to take a moment. We're animal lovers, all animals, really. But we want to take a moment and thank each and every handler out there who works tirelessly with their canine partner in protecting us and our freedoms.
Absolutely. And all the men and women around the world who have dogs that protect, you know, the life of humanity. We want to thank them for their efforts, and also all of the men and women that train dogs to be, I'm trying to think of the word. You can tell we do this, you know, without a script. But anyway, the dogs that help people like blind seeing eye dogs.
Support dogs. Support dogs.
Thank you. That's the word. What Donna said, you know. The support dogs, because, you know, one of our charities that we support and we advertise is the Shelter to Soldier organization. And this was created by a veteran that suffered from PTSD. And Donna, they go into the shelters and they get the dogs that may be passed over, huh?
Yes, they get the large dogs. So we're talking, you know, pretty much 100 pounds and up. They get the large dogs that are passed over, because a lot of people think that having a large dog is going to be way too much work. So they go in and they pick these dogs. They save their lives. They keep them, you know, out of the shelter, and they train them, Jim. Months and months and months go into training of these dogs. And what's so beautiful is when that dog is fully trained and they have a veteran and you know, they know about that veteran's PTSD and the different things that they need, they bring a group of dogs in with that veteran and they pick each other and they save each other. And since the inception of this program, folks, not one soldier who's been partnered with their service dog has committed suicide. Now, that's a win for humanity. That's a win for canines. That's a win all the way around. So we thank you and we salute you.
Absolutely. And we hope that by sharing this information with you, that it will also inspire you to become involved. Those of you that, you know, love animals and love working with animals, you could create, you know, a service to be able to help take a small animal into an elderly home or something of this nature, because animals, people connect with them.
Right.
And it's just like music. You can be going down the road and hear a song and come on the radio and you're back, 30, 40, 50 years ago, depending on how old you are, But I mean, you're back there instantaneously because it's just branded into your brain. The same is true with the pet, because people can look at a pet, even Alzheimer patients, patients suffer from dementia. They can look at a pet and automatically they're back when they were a child or when they were adult or whenever they had their beloved pet, and let the love come out. Let them enjoy that day. What a blessing. What a blessing.
It is. When the decision was made to put my parents in an assisted living home, one of the requirements was that their dog went with them. And I mean, it was a non-negotiable, and it was a miniature schnauzer. Heidi was her name. And it was such a blessing. And I'll tell you, first of all, it's not easy to find an assisted living home that will accept a pet. But it was a blessing, not only for my parents, but in all honesty, it was a blessing for the other patients in there, the other people in there, because, she was, if you know schnauzers, they're barky little things. But she had such a personality, and she would do a woo, 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 that was just, you could tell it was just pure love and joy at anyone who came through the door. So she blessed not only my parents' lives, but everybody in the assisted living home.
Absolutely. And I'll guarantee you see some people who normally just sit there because, I've been in not personally, but when my mother-in-law was in these elderly homes and all that, assisted living, and you see some folks out there, bless their heart, they're just sitting there like a flower in a pot,
Yep.
As
Just
sad as
kind
that
of
is. Yeah. They just they wheel them out there and they turn on the TV and they just sit there,
Yep.
and bless their hearts. And I know, Donna, you probably saw some folks like that. When they see that pup, they come alive, don't they?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You bet.
And, it was just a beautiful thing. So, on behalf of everybody out there who is in that industry of support animals, thank you so much.
Yes.
And especially thank you to our canine support.
Yeah. I'd like to say one more thing about dogs. We talk on this show a lot about love and the energy and all that. And that's why we were created. But we get bogged down into the world of survival because we're born into a physical world. We're born into a world of survival. And many people never get out of that mode and raise up to the higher levels of what life and living is about.
Correct.
But think about this. Where did the dog get the capacity to be able to show love? That did not come from anything physical on planet Earth.
Well, there's the old saying that dog spelled backwards is God.
There you go. That's
Right?
pretty good. I got to give you a hand on that one there, Donna. That's pretty good.
I've learned a few things in my 57 years.
Yeah. I hear you, girl. I hear you. And, also, you talked about the K9 Veterans Day. Ooh, what else is going on the March the 13th on Sunday? Would you see anything else there is interesting?
You pick.
I'm going to go right straight to the National Good Samaritan Day. Oh, my goodness gracious. In this world of doom and gloom and all of the hatred we've seen vomited on society, we need to demonstrate to our fellow man, even strangers,
Right.
that we're a good Samaritan in our heart. We care about other people. It's just a wonderful blessing because everything positive, everything you send on, positive or negative, is going to go on.
Right.
There's nothing's going to stop it. And we have the right to choose to be positive, don't we, Donna?
We do. And, when you choose to be positive, your energy is at a much higher frequency, right? And in doing so, it frees you from the clutter, right, of our mind, because you're heart-centered, and that it frees us to go forward, to be able to think in a energy induced way that lets us flow better and actually live happier.
Absolutely. Because all of us there's frequencies in us, and we're all, well, I've often said we all walk to the beat of our own drum, and it's very true because that's why some songs or the music, even though you like Spanish music, for example, Mexican music, I don't understand the words, but I certainly love the music,
Right.
and
You can love the beat and the music itself.
the rhythm,
Right. Right.
And, but there's other songs, whether you understand the lyrics or not, but the lyric, the music, the rhythm is just not there. It just kind of like, But I'll tell you, I really enjoy doing these days here because, there's one day there I see on Sunday, March the 13th, and I'm not going to say anything about that one at all. Donna, do you know which one that is?
No, I don't.
Are you on there? Can you scroll down to the bottom one on the left?
Let me look.
It's something I'm not, I'll say that.
Well, I can't find it at the moment, Jim.
You can't?
No.
She's wanting me to embarrass myself on public TV. That's what it is.
It's more fun for him to embarrass himself than me.
Okay. Sunday, of all days, Sunday, you wouldn't think it'd be Sunday. You might have thought it might be Saturday, but Sunday, since it is March the 13th, that is the smart and sexy day. Like I said, it doesn't apply to me,
Oh, my goodness. Oh, no. You know what? See, I disagree, Jim. I think we are all smart and we are all sexy because you know what? Look, all of these are our own unique fingerprints. Nobody else on earth has them. You are uniquely you. You're smart and you're sexy. Own it and embrace it.
You still think I'm smart, Donna?
Well, there's levels of smart, Jim.
Ladies and
that
gentlemen.
level left you yesterday for a moment.
No. Yesterday, I did a silly thing. I caught my finger between, put a trailer onto a hitch and got my finger caught between the jack stand where the tongue was resting and the hitch. And it was a silly mistake. Not anything serious. Took 4 stitches though,
Right.
But, fortunately it could have been a lot worse and it didn't hurt or it doesn't throb or anything like that. I was teasing my wife last night. I said, you know what? I won't be able to pick my nose tonight. I thought that was funny. I mean, slap me and wake me up, but she did not appreciate that comment at all. Funny how those things work. Us guys, we can come up with something like that, and your wife will look at you like, are you
Why
in there?
would you even think to say such a thing? But, it's a guy thing because what you guys think is funny, us women look at you just like your wife did last night. What are you? Where's your head and where are you coming from, son?
Are you still on Jupiter? Why don't you come back to planet Earth like the rest of us?
Right. Oh my
goodness. At the time, it's one of those guy things where you think, hey, I like those commercials. This one commercial I saw that comes to my mind. And we're going to get into the Roaring 20s. We're just having a little fun with you today. But the guy is real eager about showing his wife something about the new car because he saw how he could drop all the windows down and, start the engine and all that. And she walks out, she's in the bathroom, hair and color. She's standing there, arms crossed looking at him. He's over, looking. And he turns around and all you see is the doors closing. She's already went back inside.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This is a day that I wonder how it came up with, Donna. We're still talking about Sunday, March the 13th. National Open an Umbrella Indoors Day. Who wants to open up an umbrella indoors?
The only time I'd open an umbrella indoors, and I got to be honest with you, I haven't owned an umbrella in more years than I can count. Even in Ohio, when it rained just about every dadgum day in the summer. Mm-hmm. But the only time you'd open that up, at least in my house, is to when the little, I don't know what they're called, but when the little metal parts would come unconnected to the base, and you'd have to get them in there and connect it again. Mm-hmm. That's the only time I'd open up an umbrella indoors.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, tomorrow I'm going to cover one more here on the National Day. On Saturday, March the 12th, it is National Girl Scout Day. That's a wonderful organization for girls to
Yes, it
belong
is.
to, isn't it?
And even though they, they're everybody refers to them as their dealers in town because of the cookies.
Yeah. I mean
Oh
to tell you,
goodness. My
that's very
husband brought
true.
a pack home and I said, "It's not Thin Mints." And he's like, "I know, but I've never tried this one before." And I took a bite of it and it wasn't my fancy, I'll be honest with you. It just,
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Eh." And I looked at him, I said, "Well, I guess they're yours. Thin Mints would have been better." And he looked at me and he laughed. He said, "If I brought home Thin Mints, I wouldn't have gotten any." I said, "You're right."
That's amazing. That's really something. Donna, talking about these roaring 20s and all that, people really got fed up with the doom and gloom. We've covered that during this week about how, who wouldn't get fed up with war? Who wouldn't
Right.
get fed up with the Spanish flu that took out millions of people? My goodness gracious. And
Absolutely.
and people wanted to live and not just survive, but they wanted to thrive. As we
They
mentioned
want to
earlier,
feel alive, Jim.
yes.
They want to feel alive. They want to feel useful. They want to feel productive. And they wanted to make their destiny happen.
They want to enjoy life. That's
Mhm.
it. They were tired of the doom and the gloom and everything else. And people around the world right now are in the same feeling. The methods and everything are different, but the principle is still the same. It really
Absolutely,
is.
it is.
They've had it up to here with the nonsense. Let's be honest, the lies, and all of the doom and gloom and the ugliness that we've seen vomited on society. We've had you know, we, how could they even do that to us? And
We've had a mask full.
yeah, we've had a gut full of them. That's for sure.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
Donna, one of the things we're going to finish covering on this one thing here. Let's see. Oh my goodness gracious! When do you think, folks? When do you think the aerosol can was invented?
I would
I
not
would.
have guessed the date. Had
Uh-uh.
we not researched this, I would not have guessed the date. I would have thought maybe the 40s, but
Yes.
probably the 50s.
Hmm. That's my way of thinking too. But in 1925, the inventor was Eric Rotham. That's Rotheim. And before this invention, spraying liquid or gas was totally impossible. It took his invention. He was a chemical engineer from Norway to invent a possible model of a spraying can. It is also known as aerosol can. His experiment was first conducted with a nozzle, which he named an aerosol can. And after successful inventing the aerosol can, he sold his patent to a U.S. company for some $17,000. Now, $17,000 in 1925 figure it's worth about $8. $1 is about eight. Okay, so 8 times 17, and plus the fact, look at the buying power of a dollar then and a dollar today.
Right.
It was a good chunk of change for him, you might say. And he sold his patent, and today aerosol cans can be made from tin or aluminum. And as we know, they're just all kind of, from hairsprays to bug sprays, perfume,
Perfume,
whatever.
paint,
Yeah.
you name it. Canned
Yes.
air, compressed canned air.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. For the computers, for clean off
Hmm.
the dust and all. Wow, it's just amazing. And see, you may have an idea out there like there's a need for that no one else on planet Earth knows, and you may come up with a patent and sell it. Maybe you
Right.
don't want to. Maybe you don't want to market it or manufacture it or whatever. But you own the patent. If you own the patent, you
You're
can
in the
write your own
driver's
check.
seat.
Yes, ma'am.
You're in the driver's
Yes,
seat.
ma'am. And I tell you, it's like my good friend Don McGrath. He has 36 U.S. patents,
It's
and
a shame that Don doesn't work a little harder on his patent ideas.
I know it. I know it. I told him, I says, you at least give me
Lazy?
one.
He's kind of lazy.
Yeah, I told him, you at least give me one. I mean, you had to hog them all. He stole all the good ideas I had, made a patent out of them. No, but he's an engineer by trade. He's a doctor. He's got several degrees in engineering and very brilliant man, very humble man,
Oh, he is the sweetest. I just
down to
love Don.
earth. Yeah, Don is he's the best way I can describe him. He's a friend that you've never met.
Mhm.
He really, truly is. And I didn't know he had, obviously he probably wouldn't care for me, probably want me to say this, but I'm going to say it. Obviously he's a multimillionaire and, he's very successful. But if you saw him, you would never think that because his love and compassion for humanity is what makes his heart beat, is what makes his breath, his lungs breathe, and is his reason for climbing. And he loves to climb rocks. He's a
Mhm.
rock climber
Well,
and a good one too.
yes, he is. I'll tell you this about Don, and
Okay.
it's not many people and in life that you will come across who you meet and you talk to him and you can tell he's so focused
Hmm.
in literally what you're saying. It's like a warm hug.
Hmm.
It's like a warm hug because he
Yeah.
is truly and genuinely interested in what your ideas are, how you tick, and how he can help you and
Hmm.
support you to grow.
Yeah. And look at all the things that he's done in his life, the patents he created and his compassion for humanity. Look how that's blessed him.
Oh yeah, he's
And look
amazing.
look at the legacy he's leaving with those he's touched.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
He's a wonderful man. He really is.
He is. Well, Jim, I want to talk about a really important invention
Okay.
that has literally blessed millions and millions and millions and millions of lives.
Okay.
1922 was the invention of insulin.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Frederick Banting was the inventor. And so diabetes, of course, is an illness that occurs as a result of increased blood sugar level in the body. The increased blood sugar levels is caused by the inability of the body to convert them into proper usage.
Mhm.
So before the invention or discovery, insulin is being secreted by the pancreas to utilize excess sugar. Um, it says here that before Frederick discovery of insulin, the substance was unknown to all medical practitioners and researchers, but they knew a secretion from the pancreas was responsible for the prevention of diabetes and the control of metabolism in the
Mhm.
summer of 1921. Frederick led a team of researchers to the discovery at the University of Toronto to discover the invention. So, insulin was discovered as a substance secreted from the pancreas to help utilize the body's sugar. This discovery is regarded as an essential breakthrough in medical history. He received a Nobel Prize alongside McLeod for his discovery.
Wow.
My father got acute diabetes late in life. And
Mhm.
within a month of the diabetes being full blown, as often happens with people, they lose sight in eyes. And it went into, I'm trying to remember if it was his right or left eye, but it went in there and it turned beet red. And they gave him shots in the eyes, but it never recovered. And the best he could do was to only see shadows out of that one eye for the rest of his life.
Wow, bless his heart. I mean, and ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman that invented the insulin is a perfect example of why become a blessing to others. That should be your
Absolutely.
focus. That should be your goal. Because there's a lot of people out there today. They're trying to hawk a product. I don't care if they did what it is, but they're only interested in getting you to give them their credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn things around to the positive, if you really want to enjoy the financial blessings of life, focus on how many people you can help. Imagine the lives that insulin has helped. I mean, we got people that suffer from diabetes in our family,
Mm-hmm.
and I know what happens when their levels get off. I've seen it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're kind of like goofy, or just
They
they're
al-
just
they they almost wobble.
yeah. It's like a drunk
Yeah.
without being on alcohol. It really is. It's a sad thing. And then the confusion sets in, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when they need outside help. So being able to check the insulin level and their blood sugar, I should say, and gosh, think about the legacy that team headed by, was it Banting? Was that the gentleman's name? Frederick Banting? I'm not
I believe.
sure. Think about the blessings that he had and the legacy he left to his family name, his kids,
Mm-hmm.
relatives, cousins, mother, father, brother, sister, whoever. Think about how he could walk. I'm not talking about puffed up pride, but think about how he could walk like being grateful and thankful for what he did for humanity. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Oh my,
Absolutely.
there's that. If you want to be successful in life, there's your goal right there.
Right.
That's it.
That's a legacy.
Yes, ma'am, it
That's
is.
a legacy. And so, his his discovery has led to, think about this. His discovery of insulin has led to other discoveries of how sugar
Mm,
works within our body
yes,
and how it
ma'am.
affects us and maybe improving it. And
Hmm.
same with all these other things that we've talked about this week on the show. And
Hmm.
we've had what, three of them that were discovered to help somebody in their immediate family and
Hmm.
bless their lives and make their lives easier.
Hmm.
And one of them you're actually wearing right now on your little finger.
Yes, ma'am, I am. This is not the original. Now you understand.
Oh
Oh my
my
goodness.
goodness.
Yeah, but yeah, the Band-Aid, because goodness, Band-Aids are just a wonderful thing for us to be able to patch up a little nick or scratch or cut or whatever. But it was actually created out of the heart from love.
For his wife.
Hmm. Bless
That's a
her heart.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, really is. And Donna, I know that you really enjoy this next invention. It was invented by the Automated Musical Instrument Company. It was in 1927, and we've all enjoyed, and when I say we all, those of us with intelligence.
Within a certain age, because you
Yeah,
don't see them around anymore.
I know it. I'm just playing around with those of us intelligence. They know better than that. I'm just riding along on the train for that one. But 1927 was the year they invented the jukebox. Mm. How many songs have we sang and danced to and loved and enjoyed on a
How
jukebox?
much money have I put in a jukebox in my life?
Oh yeah, I
A
mean to
lot.
tell you, yeah, yeah. I remember back when you get what was it, 3/4 for three songs or something like that, or four songs for
Four
3/4.
quarters. Four quarters for four songs.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, see, back in those days, I was a little bit confused on what the coins were. Oh, but we're not going to go there.
Right?
My goodness gracious. And
But look what that invention's done, Jim. The
yeah.
invention of the jukebox
Mhm.
has led to more,
Oh yeah.
right?
I mean, it
It
just
has
opens
led
up
to
the
more.
mind,
Hmm.
because that's the way a lot of inventions come around. Someone sees an invention, they go like, "Hey, if we did this and we changed that, put my personal likes on it,
Right?
new invention,
Absolutely.
new invention."
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing. We can get ideas
Hmm.
from other people's inventions
Oh yeah.
that that is not even necessarily a spin-off,
Hmm.
but of something maybe a little bit different. And
Mhm.
that's what this show is about, folks.
Yeah.
Understanding that the 1920s
Mm.
and today is so similar
Mhm.
in that people made huge discoveries.
Yes, they
People
did.
opened their mind and enhanced the lives of people and generations forever.
Mm. Amen. Amen. I mean, it's just amazing because the thing about some of you guys may remember, that you get on online and you or watching TV, I should say. I'm talking about the old days, and you see these, what I'm talking about. You see these commercials on there. These They always have these channels that all they do is hawk products, and you
Right,
see
the
a product,
infomercial channels.
yeah, and you see these channels there and these products, and all of a sudden you see a product and you go,
Right,
and 800, what's 800? 431, what? But,
right.
and you can't live without that product.
Hmm.
And 10 minutes ago, you didn't know the thing was even on planet Earth.
Right, you didn't know it existed. You didn't know it existed.
I
Well,
mean,
go ahead, Jim.
I'm just going to say it just goes to show you how easily we can be persuaded. And when you have the right heart and the right mindset and you see something, hey, that's great, but I could take it to a higher level or it doesn't fit this need. That's why that gift and talent and that idea through energy has come to you.
Right.
That's the reason
So
why.
I want to talk about something that kind of goes back to the show we did. So it's a segue pun, if you will.
Okay.
That's about as good as sliced bread. You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As as them old sayings, we did last week, and she was throwing some zingers out there at me.
Well,
But
this
I started learning how to catch them pretty good now.
I know, but I caught him a little bit there. Not too much because I let him know it was coming. But in 1927, the bread slicer. It was the first automatic commercial bread slicing machine invented by American inventor and engineer Otto Frederick Roeder in 1927. So now, commercial bread being made, all the breads that we go to the grocery, if you buy your bread at a grocery store and it's all sliced, we need to thank Otto Redwood. I don't have my glasses on, folks.
Rodwetter.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing because that's the best thing since the invention of sliced bread, and I tell you, I still, of course, we buy loaf bread from time to time. They call it loaf bread, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what loaf of bread, loaf bread. But I still like going to the bakery and getting the bread that you got to cut yourself.
Well, this will probably irritate you a little bit or make you salivate. I don't know which, but this weekend I'm making oatmeal honey bread.
Yeah, I didn't want any juices dripping out of my jaws there. So yeah, that's amazing.
Good stuff.
If Donna invites you over her house for some food, go. Go. That's all I'm going to say. You'll be glad you did. Yeah.
Oh, well, we don't go hungry. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. The instant camera. When do you think that came out, Donna?
I know the answer to this, but honestly, again, I would not have thought it would have been until, oh my gosh, late 30s, early 40s.
I would have thought 40s or 50s myself. I really would have. And actually, it was invented in 1923. The earliest instant camera with self-developing film now, that's a shocker,
right?
Was invented by, and this looks like a misprint. I'm going to try to pronounce his name. I'm going to spell his name. But anyway, Samuel Shalafrock.
Yeah, that's how it's reading.
In 1923, and that is SHLAFROCK. But not only did the instant camera surprise me, but self-developing film.
Right.
I remember back in the 60s, if you had a Polaroid with, you push the button and, the picture come out and you got to let it sit. That was state of the art back then.
I remember my dad had that. My dad was into photography.
Yeah.
And had his own dark room and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And we had that Polaroid camera. And I was mesmerized as a child.
Yeah.
Watching, remember, okay. So when the flash went off, it would go off. And if you watched it, you could see the flash burst.
Yeah.
Because that one flash was no longer good. And then it would turn to the next.
Yes.
One. Remember, it would turn. I think that flash was only good for like 4.
Yeah, it was 4-sided. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, that's amazing.
And it was the coolest thing for me as a little girl to watch that flash just burst and be gone and then turn to another one. And then the picture would come out and there you are. It was like magic.
Yeah. But I remember when we had that Polaroid back in the 60s, it was very popular. And, you click and the picture come out and you watch it develop before your eyes.
Yep.
And wow, look at that. Was neat. That was in the 60s. This thing was doing it back in 1923, for goodness sakes.
And think about that. How far that cameras have come since 1923 to today. I can remember, of course, and as a lot of us can, Photomat. Right? The drive up little, it wasn't no bigger than 2 people could get in it. It was pretty small.
No.
And they developed your film there. You drove up, you wrote your name, all your information, you dropped it off. And we had to wait a week to get our pictures back. And to find out when we took those pictures that we suck at taking pictures and we put our thumb in the way. And then we find, well, photography isn't my calling in life.
Yeah, that's a nice, boy, that would really be a eyesore, wouldn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, what Donna said. I mean, she just takes the slack right out of the chain, folks.
But I mean, it's so interesting. And now look at it. I mean, we have digital.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You go and you go to a professional photographer and they have digital photography there.
Well, look at Kodak. Back in the, on up to the late 90s, Kodak was a horse and a half.
Yeah.
But because Kodak paper, it's a very well-known brand. But now where are they? Because digital has just surpassed them. It's easier, quicker, more simpler, and a lot more, very expensive.
Economic.
Yeah, very inexpensive.
Economic.
I mean, it didn't cost anything to take a picture and email it or whatever.
Right.
Really doesn't.
Right. And and so take it even one step further.
Okay.
Most of our printers now, you can put in paper that is strictly for photography, for pictures, for any kind of photography, and print that out onto a sheet of paper that's specifically designed for photographs.
Yes, absolutely. Sure can. And we talk about how the automobiles in the 20s just really got America rolling, and all over the world for that matter. I mean, Germany, Europe, wherever, because cars were just exploding exponentially. If you want to have some fun and go like, wow, just go ahead and Google. You can do it like on Wikipedia, defunct car companies. You're talking hundreds. Hundreds. A lot of them merge with other companies and stuff, but you're talking hundreds of defunct car companies. But that was the catalyst that got everything going in the 20s. And one of the things that someone says, hey, people want to drive around those things. I bet they like to drive over to my place and eat. A drive-in restaurant was first invented in 1921.
Yeah, but the name of it's what gets me.
Yeah.
Kirbys Pig Stand. Hey, honey, let's go out to Kirbys Pig Stand. Get us some grub.
Yeah. Well, see, now it did open. It didn't open in Brooklyn, New York. It opened in Dallas, Texas. So that gives a little bit, Yeah, we like our pigs down here in Texas. But yeah, but the idea caught on. Think about when we were kids,
Hmm.
the baby boomers. Where did we hang out at?
Right,
Drive-ins in the 50s, 60s. That was a place that was our social meeting place, not social
right.
media place, but social meeting place. Go
And
ahead.
the 70s, even. It was clear into the 70s.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember going, it was a big treat if mom and dad uh, would take us to A&W root beer.
Oh, with a mama burger, papa burger, baby burger.
Now, that was a
Oh,
big treat. We'd get a root beer float.
mm,
And and it didn't happen often. That
mm,
was the treat of the treat. I
mm,
mean, those were the days when, gosh, we went out for dinner maybe once a year.
mm.
And that
Yeah.
was usually for mom and dad's anniversary.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's really amazing how, some of the things that we had back at you kids don't. I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, I feel sorry for you.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, oh goodness. I mean, we lived it up. I mean, we rode in the back of pickup trucks. We we drink out of garden hoses.
Okay,
Oh,
we made KoolAid
yeah, right. Sold it too.
because right, because we couldn't afford soda.
Right.
Couldn't afford soda. So,
Yeah.
it was cheaper to make KoolAid with a cup and a half of sugar, whatever, and
Mhm.
fill it up with water and mix it up, and there you go.
You get your kids and get your friends wired too.
Right?
Sugar fix.
Uh-huh. In
But
the
yeah.
Tupperware containers.
Oh yeah. Oh
Remember
yeah.
those with
Mhm.
the punch top? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, all the things that we did as kids, my goodness gracious. We go somewhere and the only instructions we had was be home by dark.
Right? And
And
look out for each other.
yes, and people did. The
Mm-hmm.
neighborhoods, the adults watched out for the kids. They knew where the kids were supposed to be.
Right.
And everybody knew if you were out after dark, you were supposed to be home. That was the standard.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mother when I'd go down to visit the Gants, the neighbors that lived, across from us or down from us. And I tell mother, I said, Mom, I'm going to see my buddy. Okay. She says, Sonny boy, you make sure you're home by supper time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear my mother invite me one more time to the
Right.
supper table for
Me
supper
too.
time.
Me too.
Oh, mm,
Me too.
mm.
It was, those were simpler times, I
Yes,
think.
they were. Mm,
And I remember talking to my children about how it was when I grew up, what we didn't have, what we had when, it was considered a big luxury, like, getting
mhm.
a ceiling fan, a
Oh, yeah.
microwave, a dishwasher, cable TV.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, what? And, I
Yeah.
remember talking in depth with my son, and he's saying, you know what, Mom? I really think I'm jealous. He said, you grew up in such a time, and I see it when you talk with your friends that you went to school with that you haven't maybe
Mhm,
seen in 20 years.
mhm.
And man, y'all pick up like it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Time stands still. Mhm,
But there was a connection of humanity and
mm,
camaraderie and respect and love that is still there to this day, that
mm,
is so powerful.
mm.
And we were kept in many ways so innocent from the harshness of the world.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't have so many atrocities coming in our world at that
Mhm.
time, that I feel it's very sad for the children, my children
Oh,
and our grandchildren and the generations to come, because they see so much more than we did. And
mm,
for me, it hurts my heart because
mhm.
I see it as it takes away from their childhood and their innocence of being a child and just enjoying childhood.
Oh, yeah. Don, I've said it before and you've heard it before, but I want to share it again. Growing up on a farm in North Carolina, um, it was such a simple time. And my dad, for example, on Sunday for the noon meal after church, I don't remember how many times, but we didn't think anything about it. It was very common because my dad would invite one of his friends over for Sunday dinner, or dinners we call it, because back then we had breakfast, dinner, and supper. Okay,
Right.
and so he invited him over for dinner, and it just so happened he was a black fellow, and he sat at the table and ate with us, and we didn't think anything about it.
Right.
I didn't even know what the word prejudice. I never heard the word prejudice. I went in the Army in 1968, and I said, "What you talking about?"
Right.
And he said, "Well, you're from North Carolina. You got to be prejudiced." I'm going, "What? I may be dumb, but I'm not prejudiced." Besides that, some of my best friends growing up were black people. And that is some of the innocence Donna is talking about, because we accepted people for who they were,
Right.
the character inside. And it was just, that's the way it should be on all
Absolutely.
fronts. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, when I was in school, I was a skinny kid. I was a little kid. I was little for my age. So I know I was going to be the last one picked for a baseball team. So
Right.
what? So what? But when I did get selected, I mean, I was happy to be part of the team.
Yep.
And I remember one time I got up to bat, ladies and gentlemen, and I smacked the ball out in the center field, and 2 runs scored. Oh man, that was a real treat for me because
Mhm.
and actually one of my teammates hugged me. That's the first time I ever got hugged by a guy. But I didn't mind it. But my point, our life was so simple, uncomplicated.
Right.
We accepted when, things happened or the way the establishment was in that day and time. We didn't question it, but we survived it.
Right.
We dealt with it. And it was just a wonderful time, Don. It really was.
I remember in school, in grade school, we were playing kickball. That was big back in the day. And I, of course, have an odd last name. And the house I grew up in, of course, in the 70's, everything was avocado green.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
So, of course, my folks jumped on that bandwagon real dang quick, and they painted the house avocado green. And there is a huge wall in front of the front house. It's a decorative wall, like you could, plant and put roses up on it. And I had, excuse me, I had real frizzy hair. Of course, you can't have curly hair like this without it being a frizz. And so they used to call me Greenwall. And I would I know.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh at that. But
No,
I know,
it's
understand.
okay. It's okay. But I remember they were picking teams, and a kid I went to school with, Mark Harrington, picked me, and the other team laughed and said, "Ha ha ha! You got Greenwall. You got Greenwall." Well, I was pretty nervous because they were kind of mean and bullying me, if
Hmm.
you will.
Hmm.
But I didn't think anything of it, so I went to kick the ball, but I inadvertently kicked it a little bit to the left. I kicked it not only out of the playground, but clear over into the junior high across the road.
Mm.
And I remember Mark looked at him and said, "Well, she might have a funny last name, but she can sure kick a ball." So,
Amen.
that's the kind of people that
Hmm.
we grew up with. That was so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It really was. And it enabled you to be stronger in
Hmm.
life. And, all this stuff about, having to, if a child has a problem, trying to solve the problem for them. No. Support them, love them, and let them stand on their own 2 feet and solve their own problems. That's what we did, and that's what everybody in our age group did. And we survived, didn't we, Donna?
Yep, we
Hmm.
survived. Not saying, and I just want to say this, not saying that there aren't some things that parents need to intercede with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. There's always
Hmm.
something, a parent needs to intercede with. But,
Hmm.
as far as those little bickering things that kids go through,
Oh, yeah.
solve it on their own. That's how they learn.
Yeah, exactly. And I went by the old standard in our school. I don't know what it was. I don't know if you guys had a standard like that in your school, but in our school, if you were misbehaving in class, and I can honestly say every time I misbehaved and got corrected, it was my fault. Okay. And I'll own that. But if the teacher whipped you, it was automatic when you got home, mama was going to whip you. But if you did something bad, and only did this one time, if the teacher whips you, then takes you to the principal and they whip you, you got two more coming. Mama's going to tear your butt up, and so is dad. That's just the way our world turned in those days. But that only happened one time. I learned my lesson.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's funny. Well, folks, we really, really hope that you enjoyed the journey back in time to the 1920s, the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
That we brought to the forefront, and the inventions that we are thankful for today. Because pretty much all of them are still in existence, folks.
Oh, yeah. Even Kirbys Pig Stand still open, Oh, but really, think about all the inventions that came about and how the car was the catalyst. And now you have the internet. Well, you've had the internet, but with the pandemic, Zoom really saw a burst of energy and growth because people could communicate while they were stuck at home. And that is here to stay.
Absolutely.
So you can use all of your energy there to create something and have a way of delivering it. And your delivery method is just like the automobile delivered everything to people that they needed. Because think about it, everything in your house you got right now, a truck brought it.
Yep, absolutely.
Sure did.
Well, folks, we want to thank you for being with us and tuning in. Jim and I appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes.
Because without you, we wouldn't be here. But we are out of time.
Yes, ma'am, we are. And on behalf of Donna and myself and all the folks here behind the staff here at D360 TV, Gaia and Michaela, we want to personally thank you and remind you to first love yourself. Let me put my finger down. I'll use this hand here. But to first love yourself, then you can love others. But also, most importantly, forgive yourself. That's critical. Because once you forgive yourself, you can forgive others.
Absolutely.
And we hope and pray that you and your loved ones are blessed in all areas of your life with health, happiness, and smothered in an abundance of love. We'll see you next week.